Hey, welcome back to my Alltheyarn channel. I am Lindsay, also known as Alltheyarn on Instagram and Alltheyarn Dash on Ravelry. It's been a month and here is what I have been up to. I have one wonderful sweater, and you guys know last month I went on and on about how my sweaters are either just slightly too tight or just slightly too big, although the one cardigan was kind of massive. This one actually fits really well. This is called Swiss Tea, and the designer is Gabby's Goodies. She called it Swiss Tea because the eyelets reminded her of Swiss cheese, which I love Swiss cheese, so that's awesome. It has this gorgeous stitch here at the bottom and some twisted ribbing. So I had a great time with this. It is knit in pieces, so there was some seaming involved, but it is fingering weight on size 8 needles. It is a quick knit, and it doesn't use a ton of yarn. I think, God, what I use, maybe 1,100 yards of fingering weight, which normally for my sweaters are a lot more than that. No, it was super nice. This is Blue Moon Fiber Arts, their Colossal Base, which was a special run. I don't remember the colorway. Yes, I do. It's Chillaxin. Chillaxin. There you go. So this is the Swiss Tea test knit. At this moment, it has not been released, but I'm allowed to show FOs. It wasn't like a secret test. Hopefully, very, very soon, it will be released, at which time I will update my notes for this video and link you to the pattern. It's not been released yet. I was not the only person that joined very, very late to test this, knit this, and she is waiting for those other tests to finish, which is super nice of her. I did modify this a little bit in that I did long sleeves. In the pattern, she had the sleeves just a straight sleeve, and I asked if I could put in a couple of decreases, so I did that. I believe she's going to update the pattern and with those just a couple of decreases, which I liked. I don't do the bell sleeve or the big open sleeve that's super popular right now. It's just not my thing. I am at an age now where I know what I like and what I don't like. I will try new things, but I pretty much know what works for me and what doesn't work for me. I know that big floppy sleeves, I am a hot mess kind of person, and they get into things. So then they're constantly dirty because they're in things, or I knock things over. I'm a klutz and I'm a hot mess. So I need things to be very, very close to my body in order to account for them. I don't know how else to say it. I just know I need fitted sleeves. It's what works for me. I will spill the milk with big gappy sleeves. It's what happens. I knock things over. I don't know. Anyway, so I appreciated that she allowed me to modify that. I thought it was really cool that she's going to add it to the pattern if anybody else wanted to. This actually fits really well. So maybe if you just tell the universe, hey, everything I make doesn't fit, darn, something will. It fits very, very well. Actually, the sweater I'm wearing today fits very, very well. So maybe I just had a couple of not so great. I don't know. But yeah, this was a fun knit. It's a fast knit. I'm super excited. Oh man. Okay, I need to stop now. I'm done with the supers. After I recorded my last episode, I was watching it. I could not, I don't get it. I don't notice people's tics most of the time when I'm watching other podcasters. But even I noticed how much I said the word super. And it was annoying to me, but I didn't want to have to re-record because I just do this for fun. And it's only once a month because that's really all I have time for. I didn't have time to record again. I wasn't about to, but it annoyed me too. So I am going to try very hard not to say that S word anymore. Swiss Tea Test Knit, Blue Moon Fiber Arts, Chillaxin, their Colossal Base, which was a special run, is not available anymore. I think the color still is, just not that base. But it was a good time. It's quick knit, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. My next FO, I can't share the whole thing because it is also a test knit. And it's actually, I just grabbed it off the blocking mats. It's very damp. It's been sitting on my laps, and all my jeans are a little damp, which I hate that. Somebody else really, really hate wet jeans. Like, I mean, if, oh, my shirt got wet, you know, it'll dry, it's fine. But wet jeans, my husband's thing is socks. If his socks are wet, he throws the biggest 2-year-old tantrum. Probably not supposed to say that. Sorry, lover. He does, though. All right, so I can't show the whole thing. I haven't woven in my ends yet, as you can see. I am allowed to do teasers. This, again, has not been released. Ooh, look at that color work. That is Spin Cycle yarns. I feel like Spin Cycle is, well, I was going to say it's fairly noticeable, but then there's other dyers that do kind of more the spun skeins, and it's pretty. I never thought I was going to knit with Spin Cycle, but I decided to splurge on this test knit and use the yarn, or at least the Spin Cycle yarn that the pattern was going to call for. So there's my color work. I will show you part of that. Ooh, 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 ooh. My colors, very much my colors. Look, it's done. There's a sleeve. Okay, I can't show any more. This is a test knit for This Bird Knits. I love a good I love color work sweaters. I really do. So this was fun. It was not the easiest test knit I've ever done. Some test knits are very straightforward, and I think I was spoiled. The last three. The last 3 sweater test knits that I did, I came in at the end and happened to be a size that nobody was knitting, so they let me in late, and all of the revisions had already happened. So I basically had a completed pattern and just needed to make sure that the numbers matched for my size. Those are the best. I don't recommend signing up for test knits and then waiting a couple weeks to start, because that's not really fair to everybody else. But it was nice to have 3 in a row where I joined a little late and all the revisions had happened, and I just had to grab the latest version and go. It was very quick and it was very easy. In this particular one, I started right away, and so I was the one that was like, oh, hey, there's this, and oh, hey, there's that. And, oh, let me go back 2 rows, which is all part of test knitting. That's just, if you're going to sign up for a test knit, you are knitting an untested pattern. So that's part of it. It comes with the territory. I just hadn't had one for a while. I was like, oh, this sucks. And it's like, well, I was spoiled. You know, hopefully somebody else out there will be spoiled by what I have forged ahead and found, for them. But it was a lot of fun. I do like, I like the design on this. I really, it's my kind of design. I love the colors. I have a shawl that I knit years ago, like many years ago. Maybe 4 years ago, that it's basically the exact same colors. It's my exploration station, and it's very much the same colors. I love these colors. I love the teals, the mustards. This is kind of a right in between forest green and teal. This is De Rerum Natura, their Ulysses base. You may remember that pink shirt that I did. It wasn't pink, it was coral. We don't do pink in this, we do coral. That coral shirt that I did, that was also De Rerum Natura. And if I'm not saying that right, I'm so sorry. But I knit the coral shirt in their linen base. And this is a wool base. It's, I don't know how they describe it. It's basically like a woolen spun, but they did the woolen spun a little bit different. But it is in the woolen spun category, which means it's very lightweight. So it's a very light sweater, even though it is sport weight. I enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun to knit. I don't know when the pattern is being released at all. I have no idea. When it is released, I will make sure I update the show notes with the link to the pattern. But this was a lot of fun. Right now, the pattern is called Ewenicorn, E-W-E, Ewenicorn. The unicorn sweater, and again by This Bird Knits, and I use Spin Cycle and De Rerum Natura. I should look up and like Google like how to say it. Maybe someday. Who knows? I had just a little bit of yarn left over. In fact, I shortened my sleeves a little bit, and she said we could. I used every last bit that was left of Spin Cycle to make these little leaves. And I used what was left of the De Rerum Natura. So I just kind of made a leaf garland. It's kind of fun. Look how cute that is. Maybe. Look at that. It was a lot of fun to make. It was very quick. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 leaves. And this is just a slip crochet slip stitch chain. Was, yeah, very super fast, super easy. And it used up the last bits of the yarn, so I didn't have, you know, just, what am I going to do with 20 yards, you know? It's not really worth keeping, but I can't throw it out. So I made a garland. Those are all of my FOs. And give me a second before we start on the whips. I have tea somewhere. Here we go. Oh my goodness. So we have had some kind of head congestion nastiness in our house the last couple days. About the last week. Ooh. It's not COVID. I know it's not COVID because everyone in the family except for myself got COVID tested and it was negative. The kids had to for school. My husband had to for work. And I thought, well, if 3 out of 4 people tested negative, we all have the same symptoms. I'm sure I'm negative as well. And I'm not going anywhere. I'm working from home. So it's just, I'm fine. It's just a lot of drainage and it affects my voice. I'm going very white. You hear that? Seriously, it's very low. I have to work to bring it up a little bit. This is, by the way, another yellow. Oh, I love the yellows right now. This is, oh man, it's Sharon Sashar. I don't know if that's how you say it. Is it Chasing Fire Studios? How do I not remember? I'll link it below, but I love it because it's knitted lace. Isn't that cool? Oh man. It's one of my favorite mugs because it's yellow and it's knit. It's kind of cool. Whew. I still have my tea bag in there. Okay. Oh, look, there we go. That's better. Just needed to wet the whistle. All right, so there were my FOs. Here's what I have for whips. This one, you guys saw before. I've put some inches on it though since. This is my, oh man, look at that. Oh, it fell. Never mind. There's like this big, it was all crazy, but I lifted it up and it sorted itself out. That's nice. This is my threshold sweater. There's the back. There's the front. And that's a lot of what I've done. Actually, that's all this lace is what I have done since I last podcasted. So it took some sorting out. I think I mentioned that last episode. If not, then I apologize for repeating myself. I'll just say it again. It took some sorting out. I didn't quite understand the pattern, which, I mean, that happens. I'm not perfect. I went to the designers. It's Melanie Berg at Marilyn D on Instagram. She's a great pattern designer. I've knit many of her patterns before. So I was surprised that I didn't understand. I couldn't figure it out. but I went on to her Ravelry group and someone sorted it out right away. Then it sat because I was in the middle of a test knit, so I couldn't pick it up. But eventually I did. I had to tink back 2 rows, but once I did that, I applied the solution that the person had told me on Ravelry, and not a problem. So I am 2 rows away, and I will then, if you can see this, so right now it's flat, 2 rows away, and I will join the 2 halves and start knitting in the round, which I'm super excited about. Oh, I said it. Oh, which I'm excited. We'll drop the super. I am excited. I'm looking forward to knitting in the round again. This is a Hue Loco Opal's base. It's very, very slippery. And I think it is going to feel like butter when I wear it. I am so excited to put this on. It's so slippery. Very soft, very smooth yarn. It wants to slip. I made sure I was on my wooden needles. These are Diacrafts, not my metal needles, because it's just so slippery. It would just fall. I mean, it wants to fall off these, but my wood needles are just a little bit grippier. So yeah, I went with wood on this, but oh, this is gonna be nice. I am excited. Hue Loco Opal base. The colorway is Girl Talk. I think I showed you when I first started this, the difference of the 2 sides. I did alternate skeins up here, but once I got to the lace, you can see my one end stopped. I said, screw that. We're just gonna go with one color. And once I start going in the round, I'll go back and forth. I'll helix knit and blend the skeins together better, but it's just so slippery. The yarn management was a little crazy going back and forth and not worth it. Plus, it's gonna make it, where I did go back and forth, it's gonna make it more difficult when I'm picking up stitches, because now there's an extra piece of yarn there from carrying the yarn up. It just wasn't worth it. I probably shouldn't have done it at all, but I did for a little bit. It blends, it's fine. That's my kind of knitting, right? It's fine. My other whip is something that I just started because I realized, did you guys know October starts this week? Today is, the 29th. So October starts in 2 days. For those of you that Christmas knit, time for you to get on it. I don't. I don't need that kind of pressure. I don't. I am doing a little bit of Christmas knitting though this year. It's pretty much the only Christmas knitting that I do, and thankfully I don't have to do it very often. So I'm trying to hide something real quick before I hold it up. Come on. There we go. All right. I am Christmas knitting at least one gift this year. Ooh, I gotta sneeze. Hold on. Whew, that felt good. Okay. All right. I am making, ooh, it's kind of big. Let me scoot back. Ooh. I am making a stocking. Actually, the stocking's been made. Stocking's done. The ends are woven in. It's done. But this is a family stocking. My grandmother knit these for myself, my sister, my mom, my dad, my aunts, my uncles, my cousins, her and my grandma herself, and my grandpa. She actually didn't knit just this one. She knit 2, because this woman planned. We used to have Christmases at her house. So she kept 1, and it was kind of cool, especially when all the cousins and everybody would be there. So there's this huge lineup of green and red stockings. Everybody had their name, and they all coordinated with each other. It was a pretty cool sight. There's one picture, and I don't know who in the family has the picture. I just know I've seen it before, with all these stockings lined up in a row. It was very cool. But she kept 1 set, and then everybody took 1 home. So then for my mom, my dad, my sister, and I, we had our 4 lined up heading into Christmas as well. So it was kind of neat. I'm not that generous. I make one. This is, if you happen to see my Instagram post, I posted about this. I don't have to make these very often. I am not a sock knitter. I did not realize that until like 2 years ago. I didn't really seem to like it. And then I thought, okay, this year I'm going to make 1 pair of socks a month, and I'll try lots of different heels and toes until I figure out what works for me, because I'm sure the reason I don't like knitting socks is because I just haven't done it enough that it's easy. I made, 8. I think I made it to 8. I made 8 pairs, and they were like shorty pairs. So like my cuff was an inch and a half or something. And I did it with minis, so none of them matched, so I didn't have second sock syndrome. I mean, I really tried to make this as easy as possible for me to enjoy knitting socks. Turns out I still hated it. So, you know, I tried. I'm not a sock knitter. I do appreciate that this is Aran weight yarn. So it happened. I mean, I got from cast on to the heel flap in 1 day, and then I finished up the rest of it and woven the ends on day 2. In order for this to be a true family stocking, the person's name has to be duplicate stitched. Sometimes it's also called Swedish darning. Their name has to get put on here, and this is H-A-N. His name is Jonathan. This is the longest name I've ever had to put, and I actually made the stocking an inch longer to give myself more room. I usually stop at 7 letters. In fact, maybe it's 6. Yeah, I think I usually stop at 6 letters, and no. Oh, I can't remember. So one of my cousins married a Rebecca, and I had not made very many of these at the time that they got married. So I said, I knew she went by Becca. And I said, will you be offended if I put your nickname Becca on here rather than Rebecca? Because I don't think I'm going to have enough room. I didn't know how to modify things. I mean, it was years ago. I was still somewhat of a beginner knitter. And she was cool with it. It was very nice. So I put Becca. And now we have a Jonathan. And I thought, man, I wonder if he goes by John. And I thought, you know what? No, I've been knitting long enough. I've made how many sweaters this year? I think I can figure out how to put an entire name of Jonathan on here. So I just made it a little bit longer, started a little bit closer to the end of the toe than I usually do. Not much, but I'll work up. His name will go here. So in our family, all of the men have green stockings with their name going up the side, and then they have 2 Christmas ornaments. And all of the women have red stockings with a green Christmas tree, and of course their names. Now, I love my Graham. She passed away just at a point in time when I think I was old enough to realize how awesome she was. And while I have lots of great memories with Graham, I wish I had started knitting maybe just a little bit sooner so that we could have had more conversations about knitting. As it was, I did sit and knit with her. I got 1 knitting session with her before her health kind of deteriorated to a point that she could no longer knit. But that was cool. I at least got that 1 in. But let me tell you why she's so awesome is, although if you just glance at the stockings, so if you're not into crafting at all, if you just glance at the stockings, they look all like all the men, other than the names, they all look nearly identical or basically identical. Like if you took the names off, they look the same, and same with the women. But if you actually start looking at them, so between my parents and my sister, when my grandma passed away, we got to bring her set came then to our house. So I had 8 stockings to look at, and it turns out they're all a little bit different. So some of them she knit in the round. Some of them she knit flat and seamed. Some of them, when it came to the ornaments, she did intarsia, And some of them she did the duplicate stitching, and some of them she did a stitching. I can't figure out what it is. I've shown some other knitters. They're like, well, it's kind of like duplicate stitching, but it's not. It's different. I don't know what it is. I'd get one out, but they're buried in the Christmas stuff. If I remember when we get things out, I will try and show you to see. Maybe you guys will know what this stitch is because I can't figure it out. But anyway, what's so great about all of these stockings being slightly different is that here when I'm making my stockings, there's no pressure to make them look just like grandma's because all of hers are slightly different. So I also then had, you know, in making these stockings, I didn't have a pattern. I just had my stocking, and I went to my knitting group and somebody figured out basically what the pattern was. And it was close, but it took like 4 or 5 before I modified it and tweaked it enough to that, you know, now I can whip one of these out very quickly. That was not how it started. But we're there now. And actually in doing this one, I thought, actually, you know what? I don't hate these as much as I have. But that's because I finally have a good pattern that I can just go to, whip it out, and it's done. But while I was working with the pattern she gave me, I too tried knitting it flat and then seaming. I tried doing intarsia for the color work on one of my stockings. Rather than putting the tree, you know, through intarsia or duplicate stitching it right on, I just knit a tree and then basically like an applique, and then sewed the tree onto the stocking. I didn't care for that. So I kind of pulled a gram and made mine all a little bit different until I figured out what works easiest for me. And so for me, I do the whole thing in the round, and then I duplicate stitch everything on. Now the last step, and then I have key rings. And I'll crochet around the key ring so it's all covered in white and hook it right here so then it'll hold by a key ring. And I'm saying all of this because I'm sure in a month, this will have already been sent off to its own new owner, because I want to make sure they have it in plenty of time for Christmas and not doing like a 2-day shipping so it's there in time. That may have happened one year. Maybe. I don't know. It happened. All right. So on the men's stockings, there's going to be an ornament here and an ornament there. And after that gets duplicate stitched on, then you're supposed to put sequins and bling all over it to decorate so it's, you know, flashes in the Christmas lights. I hate doing that. I hate it. Ugh. But my mom doesn't. So once my pieces are done with that deal with the yarn, I give her this with some thread and some bling. And she loves doing that. She likes to put things just so, I mean, she has a heyday with it. So it really works out for me because I hate it. And that's what we do, right? we trade out the pieces that we like and don't like. Kind of like those masks. I made a whole bunch more. I've already given them away, so I can't show you as FOs. But I don't mind doing the sewing bit, but I hate stitching the elastic on. And guess who doesn't mind that? My mom. So I would give her all the masks and the elastic. I give her all the materials, and then she sits and just does a couple stitches here, a couple stitches there. She really enjoys that part. So that works out for us. Yeah. So this is one of my current whips. The stocking itself is done, but I'm working on the duplicate stitch for the name, and then I've got the ornaments, and then it'll go to my mom for some bling, and hopefully, I really hope by the end of October. I know it seems like a lot, like it should not take that long, and it won't actually take that long, but you got to find the time to keep going. So hopefully by the end of October, mid to late October, it is on its way to its recipient. Very excited for my cousin who got married this year, and for my new cousin-in-law, which hopefully I'll meet someday, but obviously with COVID going on, I've not met him yet. Yeah, so that's my other whip. Okay, so that's all the knitting, but I have another whip, which is sitting beside me. This is a woven scarf on my rigid heddle. The yarn is something that I dyed. It's actually like like an oops. a one-of-a-kind kind of color. I didn't want to throw it in my Etsy shop because there's just the one, and I can't ever recreate it because I don't know if anybody doesn't know this, but when you indie dye, a lot of times, not always, sometimes I work it out just perfectly, the stars align, whatever. But I have just a couple of colors, like a little bit of dye left in various colors. So I just take a skein of yarn and throw all the colors onto it, and poof, something out of, something comes out of it. Well, this time, it's a very pretty like maize color. I'm kind of calling it maize because it's a very pretty yellow. Me and yellow. Anyway, so I threw this onto my rigid heddle to make a scarf because it's still a beautiful color, even if it's, just leftover dye all thrown together. I really like it. I'm having fun with it. Yeah, there you go. The other whip I have, which is also, I don't know how much of a whip this is, but whatever. I've got something on my little pin loom, which, okay, guys, I'm just going to say this now. If you like mini skeins, and if you like Christmas, Advent mini skeins, get yourself one of these now. Just do it. I'm not trying to enable. I'm not enabling at all. What I'm doing is making sure you have all the tools for the craft yeah. Let me say that again. I'm making sure you have all of the tools for your craft. Yeah, that's what we're going to go with. This is a required tool for knitters who like mini skeins. If you have watched any of my earlier episodes, you know that I use my pin loom and mini skeins to make lap blankets. Guess what's coming up, guys? Christmas, which means Advent mini skeins. These are so fast. I think for the month of December, I can usually get about 6 squares out of one 20-gram mini skein. And I think all but 3 or 4 days, I was able to knit all 6 squares on that day. I can typically make a square in about 12 minutes. So, an hour, hour and a half, 6 squares done. I can't do that with knitting. With knitting, to make a 4-inch square, one of those 4-inch mitered squares, because I've got one of those blankets going too, it's about 2.5 hours. It's a lot of fun, and it's nice to have that. If I can't think of something to knit, I just work on my mitered square blanket until inspiration strikes. So I love that I have that blanket going. It's never going to get done, which is fine. I'm okay with that because it's not really a blanket to be done. It's a blanket to work on when I can't think of what else to knit. But my Christmas Advent minis, they have a purpose, and that is pin loom blanket. So this is from Shat. It's a Zoom loom. Yes. Zoom loom. It's weird to say Zoom and not think of the video chat. Not weird? Anyway, COVID. All right, so get yourself a Shat Zoom loom if you're addicted to mini skeins, if you're addicted to Advent calendars. I didn't think about this before now, but what the heck? I'm going to host a Advent pin loom along for December, and we can all work on pin loom blankets together. And if you don't want to sew yours into a blanket, that's cool. I'm not offended. But let's work on our pin loom projects in December for funsies. Zoom loom, Shat. You need it, okay? Advent season's coming. Mini skein season is coming. Some of you got mini skeins for October. I'm just not into Halloween that much. Oh, I'm sorry. I know now some of you hate me. Oh, my heart's crushed. Okay, I'm over it. Some of you guys got mini skeins for October. I love that indie dyers are doing Advents for October. I think that's so cool. And I think it's like 31 mini skeins, whereas, Christmas Advent's like 24. Sometimes it's only 12, which you can't get a blanket out of that. But 31 mini skeins, I mean, that would be I love the size of my Christmas ones, but ooh, that 31 would be cool. One of these days, I might splurge and get an October Advent just because it's another pin blanket. I really, really like these. My kids really like them. They are the go-to blankets. Like everybody wants those three I have 3 of them right now. Those are the blankets everybody gets to first. If I'm having one, like if I have one actually on my lap, a lot of times one of the goblins crawls into my lap just because they want to get under that blanket. So yeah, get yourself one. It's mini skein season, it's Advent season. Just putting it out there. And December, we can do a little pin loom along. And I have one video recorded of one way to seam. It's my favorite way. I've tried 3 different ways, and it just looks so pretty. It's a crochet slip stitch seam, and it's very pretty. But you can also whip stitch, and I will put together a video sometime between now and the last week of December. So I will have the videos ready to help you figure out how to seam these together, because if you're like me, the idea of, oh, a stack of squares so fast, yay! And then, oh, I have to seam them. Boo. So I get that. The crochet slip stitch seam, it is slower than the whip stitch, but I like that you're using the yarn kind of as you go, versus with the whip stitch, you have to kind of guess how much you're going to use. You know, can't see what I'm doing. You have to kind of guess how much you're going to use, cut it, and hope that your guess was right, that you can get all the way to the end. So whip stitch is faster, and I haven't done a tutorial on that one, but you have to cut the yarn before you get going and hope that you cut it right. The crochet slip stitch is slower, but I hate wasting yarn. It's a thing for me, and it's not like I don't have enough, but I just hate wasting it. So I really like the crochet slip stitch, because you just use it up as as you're chaining, you're using it, and when you're done, you cut it, and you've got that piece done. So anyway, this is my bag that it's in. This is a mommy sew. I'm glad she has a tag, because I've had this for forever. I kind of forgot who made it. This is a mommy sew bag, and it is, I love the colors. Look at that. Teals and mustards. Actually, it's teal, aquas, mustards, and gray. Oh my. Oh, anyway, mommy sew. But it's the perfect size. It fits my Zoom loom. I've got a pair of scissors, my Zoom loom, needle, and then just a couple mini skeins that I'm working on. These are leftovers from my woven scarves. So I thought, well, I'll just pull these, start making squares. What I like about the Advent blankets is, here's my yarn. This is what I'm using. I use it and then I'm done. And sometimes I have just a little bit left of that full skein, but I whip those into squares that I'll use for something. So I decided, I've got these other woven scarf left over, so I'll just turn those into squares. So I kind of have these are my squares. I'm not sure, way over here. Can't even see it. Okay, these are here's my pile of squares that I'm just making for something down the road. I don't know. But then once I get my Advent, here's my Advent squares. These are for my blanket. That's exactly what they're going to do. And, before the end of January, I've gotten it done. So it's a very quick blanket, uses a ton of yarn, and it's so soft. So, and I don't know, mine lay out on all my couches and chairs, so I see my blankets every day. I suppose at some point I might have too many, but I'm not there yet. And I know that several people would like one. I don't know if I'm there yet either. But anyway, my voice catching on. It's tea time. Hold on. Oh, man. Okay. Oh, I can talk again. That's nice. I don't know. I think it's going to go fast again. I've been talking too much. All right. Excuse me. So one last thing. I, believe it or not, I originally started this channel as a way to keep myself accountable to stash down this year. I was not going to talk about enabling. I was not going to talk about the new yarns that I got, because to me it was, hey, let's pull things out from stash and remind myself, what do I have? What can I be knitting with? I don't need more yarn because I already have all these wonderful things. And it's kind of worked. Kind of. Quite honestly, I have still been buying yarn. I can't help it. It's been a very stressful year. That Ewenicorn test, the green with the spin cycle, yeah, that was all new yarn. I bought it. I did. I really thought I was going to stash down this year. Last year, so I mean, this is way off topic, whatever. I don't care. I am someone that does project pages on Ravelry. The bulk of my stash is on Ravelry. I keep track of how many yards I have purchased, like that I've brought into my stash. And I also keep track of the yards that I use up that goes out of my stash. And last year I had 12,000, it was over 12,000, but over 12,000 yards leave my stash, more than what I brought in. So I don't remember how much I brought in and how many exactly, but my net for last year was 12,000 more yards left than what came in. I was really proud of that. And I thought, okay, that was 2019. 2020 is my year. I'm going to keep this going. This is going to be amazing. Nah. Nah, it didn't happen at all. I think at this point, I have to finish like another 4 sweaters, 4 fingering weight sweaters. We'll say it that way, without buying any. Oh no, because I've already bought some yarns in the mail. How much should I buy? I don't think it was that much. I'll bet it was another sweater quantity. You guys notice how many sweaters I've knit this year? I'm in a sweater mood. I did that with shawls for about 3 years. All I did was just shawl after shawl after shawl. And I love it. And I've given dozens, I mean, literally dozens of shawls away. If you go to the office that I work in on the right day, you'll see 4 or 5 other people wearing shawls that I've knit. I love knitting them. And I knit so many, there was no reason for me to keep them. So I just gave a whole bunch away. And I still, every once in a while, clean off my shawl shelf. And I'll be like, oh, here's another. In fact, a couple weeks ago, I gave another 4 away. And I don't mind because I know I'll make more. I've got the yarn to make more. It's fine. And I don't want to sell them because if I sell them, I feel like no matter what, I'm not getting enough out of it than what I put into it. But if I give them, that feels good because I know how much I put into it and that's what I'm giving. And even if they don't fully understand how much that is, that's okay because I do. And I know that they're worth it. So anyway, well, it's teary. All right, anyway, but I'm in a sweater mood now. And unfortunately, like with shawls, I would just buy a skein here, skein here, skein there. And I have all these like single skeins of fingering weight. And eventually you can pop them together and it's a lot of fun. With sweaters though, now I'm buying like 4 skeins, 5 skeins, 6 skeins at a time of one color. And it's, oh, yeah. Those sweater quantities, that yardage adds up really fast. And even though I've knit so many sweaters and I'm in a sweater mood, I'm so excited about it, I can't knit as fast as I buy. So I'm guessing, I think I just ordered another sweater quantity from my local yarn store this last weekend. So that means I will need to knit 5 fingering weight sweaters from now until the end of the year in order to break even. I don't think I can do it. I don't know. We'll see. It's 2020, folks. Like, I feel like all of my resolutions and plans for this year, COVID came and just out the window. Yeah. So breaking even would be great. If I end up in the red, oh well, because in 2021, you start over. So whatever. I mean, and it's not like I'm not in trouble, you know, it's just something I wanted to do for me and whatever, you know. Now, okay, so that's why I do, though, this segment of, you know, an attitude of gratitude is I want to remind myself to be grateful for what I have so that maybe I'll feel less likely to need something. You know, whatever. I am grateful for these, though. Okay, so I've been flicking them around. These are self-striping twin skeins. This is TurlePurl yarn. TurlePurl yarn. I love those colors. They're very happy. This is her soft shell turtle base, which means there's cashmere in it. I bought a whole bunch of these before I realized I don't like knitting socks. But I have a whole bunch of these. So what I do, which is great because it actually it uses up the stash a lot faster, is I wind these up into 2 little cakes, and then I hold them together and wind it again. So I have one giant cake of yarn held double, and I make mittens and hats out of this. So yes, that means that my goblins, who are too young to appreciate this, run around in cashmere mittens and cashmere hats. They do. All they know is that it's soft and mommy made it, and they are very cute about wearing it, but they don't fully appreciate it. That's okay. I honestly love that it keeps them warm. I know how much they appreciate when I make it. We'll go with that. But this particular colorway is Rock, Paper, Scissors, Lizard, Spock, which is a Big Bang reference. It was one of my favorite episodes. Yeah, so I like this particular colorway because of I like the colors. I like the bright colors. They're great for kids. And I like that I can hold these double. I basically use it as a worsted weight. I follow a worsted weight pattern. This is almost the fingering, not fingering because this is considered the wool nylon blend socks that she does is very much a fingering. This is nearly a sport. Not quite. I mean, it does still say fingering weight. It just seems, I don't know. Well, I hold it I hold it double, and it's very plumpy. Maybe that's why it seems like it's bigger than a fingering weight. It's just plumpy. I hold it double, follow worsted weight instructions. Most of the time, I follow Tin Can Knits Basic Mitten. I think it's what it's called, or the World's Simplest Mitten. That's what it is. The World's Simplest Mitten. It's a great, great pattern. I strongly advise looking that up because it has all the sizes from kids to like extra large hands. And then it also breaks it down by, you know, fingering weight, sport weight, DK weight, worsted weight, aran weight. It's a great pattern. I'm pretty sure it's free. So that's what these will eventually become. I'll hold them double and get these knocked out. I think I might, normally I was planning on making a kid size pair of these, but I think the mittens that I made, the goblins, last winter will still fit them this winter. Can usually get a good 2 years out of one pair of mittens. So I think I'm going to make, and if I make the kid size, then there's usually enough for me to make a fingerless mitt for myself. But I think I'm going to make these just into mittens for myself because I really do like the colors and they're so warm. Oh my gosh. Yarn held double and cashmere. Yes, please. My only concern is that I also have a tendency to lose my mittens, and I don't want to lose these. We're a hot mess family, folks. Just are. It's true. So it's just true. So what I'm grateful for in my stash are these TurlePurl yarns, the rock, paper, scissors, lizard, Spock colorway. I'm very grateful to have these. Thank you guys so much for listening to me talk about all the things that I do with yarn. I haven't said this before, but I think because I figure everybody knows how to do this, but go ahead. If you're enjoying yourself, like and subscribe. I typically put out a video at the end of every month, and that's all, folks. Take care.